from my own experience in my personal brand of evolution, if you can pull on your childhood and bring it out into your personal brand, you are going to really help like sell your story. Because that's really true to who you are. That's how you be authentic. It just your whole life story, bring that to the forefront of who you are in the present moment, and people are going to connect and understand who you are more.
Welcome back to SWURL Radio. I'm your host, Eric.
And I'm Ayka. At SWURL Radio, we stand for those who messed up, ruined relationships,
bombed a grade, said the wrong thing, lost the ideal client,
overpromised, underdelivered, showed up late, and missed their shot.
Today, we brought in someone who was bored out of their minds at her job and did a 100-day design challenge on Instagram and built a global agency from New Zealand. Now she's figuring out how to run all that with a baby.
Because building a business is one thing, building a business and a family at the same time is a whole different conversation.
We're excited to welcome the Creative Cowgirl herself, new mom, founder of Pink Pony Creative, two-time Adobe Max speaker. She leads an all-female team from New Zealand, and her clients include brands in Walmart, Kohl's, and restaurant chains in over 55 locations. Welcome, Kristy Campbell. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Kristy.
Oh, thanks, guys. You guys make me sound so exciting. I don't know what it is. It's your accents. It's everything. That was great for my Thursday morning. I was like, I feel really pumped up now. Really good. Well, thanks for that lovely intro. Tell us about who I am. I've had Pink Pony for 6.5 years now, just over. We're a global branding and packaging design agency. We've got a small team of boutique designers. We're a full team of females, which I love. And we're here to dominate the world, I guess. And you guys kind of fitted in a whole bunch of stuff as well. But I also do speaking, especially at Adobe Max, which is amazing. I'm a new mum, which is also great. Trying to build and continue to build my content creation on the side, which obviously runs the business as well. Social media, we love you. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of me in a nutshell, but I could talk about a whole lot of stuff in between.
Awesome. Kristy, we're so happy to have you here. But I want to hit you with this one question. I ask everyone every time they come on this podcast, because being a professional, being an entrepreneur, we all have to market ourselves in different ways. And one of the biggest platforms we market ourselves on is LinkedIn. So here's the question. If LinkedIn disappeared tomorrow and we all had to reintroduce ourselves without the titles, without the resumes, I would love to know, what would you lead with and what would you want to know about someone else?
Ooh, that's a great question. Just to give you a bit of a backstory about how I feel of LinkedIn while I think of my answer. LinkedIn is such an interesting platform because when I went to university many years ago, we were told to make a LinkedIn for the professional appearance of yourself online. And then I didn't touch it for about, it would have been like 15 years. I didn't do anything on LinkedIn. I would never scroll on it or anything. And then a couple of years ago, when I thought the leads were slowing down from social media, Instagram and TikTok, I was like, why not just post all my content I've ever created on LinkedIn? And I started getting amazing results. And ever since then, I love LinkedIn. Like, I will find myself scrolling on LinkedIn before I go to sleep. And I'm like, I'm a LinkedIn girl now. But if we were to start again, what would I lead with? This is a tricky one. I should have thought about this before I jumped on the call. I truly believe LinkedIn is a place where you can combine emotion and experience and what you do. I think that is the best way to show up for yourself on LinkedIn. Although it's a business platform, often you will get the most engagement if you tear away a layer of professionalism in a way. Like, you want to be a little bit vulnerable. And I don't know what that looks like in a way to introduce myself. Maybe I would now, as a new mum, lead with the fact that I am a founder, I'm a brand strategist and designer, an international speaker, creative cowgirl, while all trying to be a new mum. And like, even just like that kind of title will stir up so many emotions for people. So that, I think, can even just start some interesting conversations. I think it was Christo, which is why I started to call myself Creative Cowgirl. Christo was talking about personal branding in an Adobe Max session that I listened to. And he was saying if you can think of yourself on like a deeper level where you're not just your name, not just Kristy Campbell, who are you to like tell a story that is more meaningful only in a couple of words? The examples he used was, there's a guy from Jersey Shore. What's his name? The Situation. Did you guys watch Jersey Shore?
Oh my God, actually, I have not.
Oh
Like,
my God, no. Okay. I loved Jersey Shore. It was so good. But there was Mike, The Situation, and someone like him, that tells you a lot about who he is without even understanding anything about him. So I
mhm.
think if you can lead with something more interesting behind what you do, something like, Creative Cowgirl, it's not just my name. It's not just I'm a brand designer. You're telling me a lot more about yourself. I went on a million tangents in that one question, but hopefully that answered it.
No, I think that's great. Actually, that leads well to the initial question of kind of who is that creative cowgirl? We're in the States. We don't know anything about New Zealand and what it's like growing up there. So, can you take us back to what that was like? Who were you as a kid?
Yes. Creative Cowgirl, I feel like, is the perfect way to describe me in a way for multiple reasons. When I started Pink Pony, the reason why I called it Pink Pony was because I was trying to, as you do when you start a business and all the things, I was trying to think of cool names, and I was like, what's something a little bit different that's not Kristy Campbell Design, not your standard name for an agency. And Pink Pony came up for me because I had a love of pink and a love of ponies when I was growing up. And those were like my two favorite things in the entire world. And it just had a ring to it. And I was like, what if I just call it Pink Pony? So I was like drawing into my childhood to pull out something meaningful about myself into a business.
Mhm.
So that was just like me in a nutshell as a kid. Like I loved anything creative, drawing, I loved illustration, I loved like cartoons alongside loving pink and ponies. So when the business came about and I just decided to call it that, it just all fitted into place. And then
Mhm.
me, even down to the fact for many years, for about 10 years, I was a competitive horse rider. So I was a very horsey gal. So that was a big true part of who I was too. But then when I combined it with creative cowgirl, had a whole new meaning. Like a cowgirl or a cowboy is very much someone who like trailblazes their own path. They're trying to do something different and unique, and they're not going to follow the others. They're like on their own journey. And I do think that with Pink Pony, I've been able to do that and just like find my own path, be this kind of slightly wacky, unique, like daring brand that we also try to do for our clients. And that's where it all comes from. So it's a beautiful summary of who I am.
So it's like celebrating your childhood in a way, sort of that younger self.
Yes. And I think that's where, from my own experience in my personal brand of evolution, if you can pull on your childhood and bring it out into your personal brand, you are going to really help like sell your story. Because
Mhm.
that's really true to who you are. That's how you be authentic. Just your whole life story, bring that to the forefront of who you are in the present moment, and people are going to connect and understand who you are more.
I had a quick question because you mentioned you were competitive. You said horse racer or horse
Horse rider, so I did like show
rider?
jumping. I don't know.
Oh,
It's very
wow.
niche.
Oh, show jumping. So you're jumping over the hurdles and
Y
Yeah, yeah, yep.
that's Were you is that a normal thing in New Zealand, or were you in the country or were you in the city? What was your environment?
Yeah. I grew up in a farm, so
Oh.
relatively, I don't know if you guys it was like 40 acres of land, so it was, like, relatively big, and I said to my parents one day when I was maybe 10, "I wanna go for a horse riding lesson," and they were like, "Sure." I thought it was gonna be a small phase, and turns out it wasn't. I was very into horse riding. Yeah, so I got my own horse, we had a couple of horses, and I'd compete every weekend. So it was like I wanted to be a professional horse rider for a long time, and that was what I wanted to do. And then I realized there's not a lot of money in that, and you have to be, any kind of sport, you have to be like. It is so hard to get to the top. It's like few and far between who actually get there. Not saying I couldn't have done it, but I just don't know if I had the drive for horse riding like the others that did that reached to the top. So I decided to go down the design path. Which worked out okay for me.
so going down the design path. I mean, I know as a kid you're creative. You just explained some of that to us. The pinkness, the pink pony, and how you come into your business now. So I'm curious to know, just growing up, um, who was one of your biggest inspirations?
Ooh. Do you mean in terms of designs or just like people in
Well,
general?
let's do both. I want to know who was your
Mm,
biggest inspiration growing up, and then when you started Pink Pony, I would also want to know what inspired that as well, or who
yeah.
helped you.
Oh, it's so hard to. I think I'm inspired by a lot of people, but I truly do think my parents have inspired me a lot. They've been a big driver and pushing me in the right ways. And my dad was a very business savvy guy, so he's been like my mentor through Pink Pony, and just he's sort of always been someone who's tried to be innovative with ideas when it comes to like my career and pushing me to like push myself beyond what I thought was possible. Um, so even when I was, this is going to sound a bit crazy, and I, even when I was at university, how do I explain this? Do you know, like, rugby, the sport rugby?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
we had rugby in New Zealand is a big, big deal. Like we have the All
Oh
Blacks,
yeah,
which globally is
yeah.
a big
That's the
deal.
best team ever to me. But yeah,
Yes,
go for it.
it is. You're right. And they were having the World Cup for rugby in New Zealand in 2000. It would have been 2000 and like 11 or 2012. And my dad said at the time, I also was a big dancer. I taught hip hop and like that was also a huge part of my life. And my dad said, why don't we combine your creativity with your dance and do like this big campaign? This was just a random project we decided to potentially do. And he was like, you should do a big flash mob for the Rugby World Cup. And organize something that could like be shareable on social media. At the time it might have been like YouTube. And I was like,
Right.
yeah, like so excited about this idea. And then he said, you know what you need to get off the ground is someone to back you doing this. And he said, you should get the Prime Minister involved. And I was like, how am I going to do that? Somehow my dad ended up being able to get me a meeting with the Prime Minister of New Zealand, just me and him. And I pitched him this idea. Actually, thinking about this is a bit crazy. I pitched him this idea to do this like flash mob to basically advertise New Zealand. And he literally signed a piece of paper saying he would back me in this. And he had my support and he would have my support to get me in front of the right people, which was amazing. Like that was my dad pushing me creatively and almost like teaching me how to pitch projects before I've even understood what pitching is.
Yeah.
And the sad thing was I was really busy with university at the time. I got the signed bit of paper, had the meeting, we will all go, and I didn't do anything with it. Like
Oh wow.
I never ended up doing it, which now I'm like, oh, would have been so life-changing for me. But looking back, like that was my dad being a mentor and pushing me to do something that was
Yeah.
completely out of my comfort zone. I remember being so nervous for the meeting. Like this guy, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, that's crazy. And I was there pitching him my like little creative idea that he said yes to.
That's dope. I mean, I know a lot of people are inspired by their parents or parents pushed them in that way. So I think that's amazing
Mm.
the fact that your dad was able to like push you in that direction. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, honestly, and I wouldn't be here with Pink Pony where it is without his knowledge and support. Even more recently, we just got a really big client, and without him aiding me and helping me through the like sales process and learning more about how to pitch properly, oh, we might not have got it. So it's amazing. I
Oh,
feel so blessed to have parents like that.
I'm just curious, like, what's his background?
He was in like IT and developed businesses around like computer development back in the day. He's retired now, so he always laughs and jokes. He's like, "I'm going to send you my invoice for for all this support and mentorship." And he was like, "No, don't worry about it." But yeah, he was in development and IT, and just like did a lot and really like grew in the corporate ladder, I guess. So he'd sort of seen and almost like sold businesses and did all that. So it's nothing to do with design, but he just knows how to ask the right questions.
That's really amazing to have. So our podcast is kind of about the bumps and bruises on the way to wherever you're trying to go. And you managed to build a global agency, and that takes a strong personality and a lot of grit. So I was wondering if you can talk a little bit about that and like the bumps on the road that you kind of
Oh,
had to go through to get to where you are now.
So many. And I think we were just talking about this, me and my team in the office, about how with social media especially, you just see the tip of the iceberg of what goes on behind the scenes in anything, no matter what someone is doing. Um, but so many bumps along the road. Like I think one of the things that just constantly comes up is like your how to get work. That is the hardest thing in owning a business, is where your work comes from, especially as creatives. Like that's the biggest question I get asked from people online is how do I find clients? And it is really, it's challenging. It's really hard, especially in the early days when I started. I didn't have a following at all. Like after I did this 100-day design challenge where I posted a piece of work for 100 days. And at the end of that, I think I had about 800 people following me. So my Instagram was not big at all. And there was slowly leads just started coming in. Hey, could you do a logo for me? And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? Probably charge about $50 for those. But from the beginning, that was always a challenge. But I really relied on my own network at first and people that I knew around me locally and people I worked with in the past. And even Facebook groups was such a big one for me at first. You find the right group, and people would often post on those groups saying, hey, I need a graphic designer, anyone out there? And then you just get 50 people jumping in saying, I'm a graphic designer, really excited about it. That was a really big way I got work in the early days. And then other big challenges, as a freelancer, I never thought I'd have a team. I never thought I'd hire anyone. I've never had any management experience. So when a video actually blew up on TikTok and I thought I either turn down work and say, no, I can't fit it in, or I hire someone to help me with this work. And I decided this opportunity might not come around again. So let's just try and hire a contractor. So that came with its own challenges, and hiring people is interesting because you've got to find the right person. You've got to learn how to pay them. You've got to understand so many factors to that, even how to manage projects and what to give them at first. That's always a really hard thing as a designer, letting things go. You feel like people only want your work. You're like, well, I design in a certain way. Do they want someone else designing it? So there's a million and one challenges in between. Probably one of the biggest moments where I found the most difficult was I hired a junior and a senior quite quickly at the same time. And I felt so overwhelmed because I'd just been to Adobe Max. You reach with Adobe, something like Adobe Max, you're just working so hard for this big moment. And then once you finish it, everything somewhat feels like it's come crashing down because everything, you just like let it all go. And then I came back to New Zealand, had 2 people that came on quite quickly, and everything just felt super overwhelming. And I just had to I'd never had a senior before. So training them and figuring out my leadership style with a senior was and a whole unique and different experience as well. But I'm very much a tackle challenges as they come. It feels scary in the moment, but now I know we're going to get through this 100%. And I just know that this yuck feeling that in the moment of, like this feels icky. I haven't been here before. I know in a week I'm going to feel so much better. Even in a day, I'm going to feel better about the situation. And that's, I think, something you learn with business and even being a mum. You just learn to get through those challenges, and every one you get through, you start to realize I'm going to figure this out, but it's just a matter of getting through it in the moment.
I just have to go back to horse riding.
I love that.
I'm curious, is the challenge of horse riding, did that kind of influence the way you kind of process problems at all? Because I feel like it's
100%. You are so right. Like, in people's life, everything leads to something. And like all the little experiences people have in their life, there's a reason for them. And it's like horse riding is a really good example. I love that you bring that up. I haven't talked about horse riding this much in a podcast ever. Being a horse rider, you work with horses who have a mind of their own and you cannot physically communicate with them verbally. So it teaches you persistence and it teaches you hard work because you have to work hard with your horse to like communicate with them, to figure out how you communicate together and what works well. And it's often, I would go to a show jumping event on the weekend and I wouldn't perform as well as I would, or maybe you fall off and you really hurt yourself. You have to get back on, or you're never going to get back on. You'll just be too scared. The longer you leave it, you'll be terrified to get back on the horse. I remember one of my horses I had bolted on me, so galloped really fast while I was on riding him, and I wasn't very experienced at the time, and I couldn't stop him. And so I pretty much jumped off. But while I jumped off, I hit my head and got a concussion. So I was knocked out for like, I don't even know how long, because I couldn't remember for a long time after that concussion during the day. And then my horse riding teacher said, you have to get back on the horse tomorrow. Like, she was like, I don't care what you say, you were getting back on that horse, because if you don't get on the horse now, you're going to be too terrified down the track. And I think that is like quite meaningful and, you know, in its own right. You've just got to have a little cry and then get back on it the next day and just work at it, and you'll be able to get through.
Did you switch horses a lot, or did you usually just have one horse that you kind of did your...
I did in the early days, because I didn't own a horse. So you sort of swap horses a lot while you're being taught how to ride. And then when you just, decide to invest in a pony one day, that's when you have your own horse and you really get to know them. But I mean, again, every horse is so different that you have to adjust and like be flexible. Maybe that also it's like people, managing people and even clients. Every one of them is so different. We all communicate really differently. So you have to adjust yourself a little bit to be able to make it work with that person.
Right.
Horse riding's really helped with my business career without me knowing.
I want to jump back over to Pink Pony, not the other
Yeah,
pony, but
enough about
Pink
horse
Pony.
riding.
So I'm going to jump back over there, because I hear when we ask you questions about it, I hear you say we, and to me that's a great thing, because it's kind of rare to hear that from a lot of owners, specifically agency owner. When you hear we, so I'm curious, sharing that spotlight, how has it affected not only you but your team?
Yeah, it's always been something I've been so mindful of. Like when I've made my first hire, and when I, was able to almost post their work, in my head, I was worried that people thought that that was going to be all me. And I didn't want them to think that. I wanted the other designer to take credit for it, like it's not just me anymore, it's a we. And so I'm even doing a shift now in the business where I'm redoing our copy, where I've said to the strategist, I really want to approach this more of an agency. It's not just about my story. Although, like, I do feel like I have my own personal brand and I have my own story. That can just be a really small side piece now to the agency, the hero agency as a we, going into the future. And I do try to pride myself on trying to give them opportunities in their career for design, whatever that looks like. Even our lead designer, Gabby, she came to Adobe Max with us last year because I wanted her to experience it. And she'd been with me for a few years, and I was really excited for her to also experience something like that on such an awesome level. And she'd done a couple of things with Adobe as well. Like, I've gotten her Adobe Lives and being able to go on those. So I do love to try and give them experiences that go beyond just the work. Obviously, they're not coming in hot and heavy, so it's few and far between. But like, to be able to do that is really, really nice thing. It's like, and getting to tell the team or an individual designer in the moment, say for example, Gabby, you're going to come to America with us, from New Zealand. It's a big deal. Yeah. No one really goes to Adobe Max in New Zealand, so it's such a cool thing to be able to give. I feel like in those moments, I feel so excited. Like, I'm just like over the moon. I'm so excited to give them those opportunities. So I want to lead even more with the we as Pink Pony, because we are a we. I wouldn't be able to do a lot of the work. It's just unrealistic now for me to say that I could do all the work or even look over it all. They very much run as a business themselves and do amazing work. Very much a we.
It's funny. I actually saw you at Adobe Max. I was with my stepson.
Oh.
Yeah, but you were surrounded by people. I was like, no, too intimidating, too many people.
I love that. No, it's a bit of a blur, not gonna lie. There's so many people you meet. It's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, it was really cool seeing you. But I was with my stepson, and it was interesting because it was his first time at Adobe Max, and I was really excited to show it to him. And now you're a mom running your agency. So I wanted to talk about being a parent, and has that changed how you work? Has that changed? And it's so funny because you run an all-female agency, and now you have a boy.
I know. So he's the only boy that comes into the office. Yeah. Has it changed to run the agency? I would say yes, for sure. Like, it definitely has. It's put more of a perspective of, when I'm with him, I do want to spend time with him and try not to be influenced by what's happening in the business. So if things are a little bit difficult, I try not to bring that home. And to be honest, he almost helps with my stress levels because it's times where I can just spend with him, have fun and laugh and just be calmer, have this calmer presence about me because I just, I'm so involved with him and I just don't want to think about it in those moments. It's definitely made me realize how much time I had before. I was like, wow, I had
Yeah.
so much time before. And I get up a couple of hours before him so I can do some work before he wakes up. I often will work after he goes to bed for an hour or so. But the beauty of it is now with a business and a team, I do get to drop him off at daycare at 9 a.m. and pick him up at 3. And that's a really beautiful thing. I know so many mums that have to race off in the morning, wake their kids up early, so they have to go to daycare at 7 o'clock so they can get to work at a certain time. And we can just have nice early morning starts that are relaxing. So all of those moments are really special. But I think I'm still trying to manage how to be a good leader while also being a mum. That's a challenging thing. I think having a baby is such a crazy thing that happens to people, women, and especially in the first few months, you're a zombie. You're not really you're so sleep deprived and it's such a new experience. It's hard to think about anything else and even switch your brain on at all. So I think coming out of that, I was just running on survival mode and I was just trying to keep the business running and I wasn't really making good strategic business decisions. And so I think now I've come, I'm out of that and we need to focus and get things on board again,
Mm-hmm.
working how they should be as a leader, as a mentor for my team and all the above. So yeah, it's a journey and figuring it out as we go.
I just wanted to push into that a little bit, like in terms of what you've learned about leadership kind of recently with kind of your new experience as a mom as well.
Yeah, I think making sure, especially with the team, which again, I'm literally in the midst of doing where I'm going to book in a big team meeting for this, of making sure there's a clear vision of where we're going because you can have a team and everyone can sort of just work as they go. But if no one knows where we're going, what's the point? Of course they're going to be confused about what's ahead of them. So having this shared vision as a business, do I want to double the size of the business? Do I want to grow the team to 20 or whatever it might be? I don't, because that's crazy. That's
Right.
not what I want to do. I want to keep the team small, but have bigger clients that we
Mm-hmm.
work with. Especially in the US, that's the goal. So it's having that shared vision so everyone understands that exactly where we're going is really important. And I think just between having my son Boston and now I lost that. I would get asked what do you want from Pink Pony? Do you think you want to grow it? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to, and I was like, I don't know. I don't want to sell it. Hell no. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Who knows? Of course the team are going to be confused if the founder is confused about where the business is
Right.
going. So that's
Right.
really important, as even if it's a small vision of, yeah, just to get bigger clients, keep the same team size. It could be as simple as that, but just understanding where that is.
So being a mom and your little man comes to you one day and say, Mom, I want to start my own business because, being an entrepreneur, you're setting that standard. You're like, no corporate America for you. You're going to do it. So he's like, Mom, I want to be a business owner. Would you encourage your little guy to build brands or would you have him try something different?
Oh, if he came to me and said that, I'd be like, yes, let's do it. Because my husband is also very business minded. And that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with him. He was just such a hardworking guy and just was it was a big part of who he was. So in a way, we do have both of our own businesses. So if Boston came to us with that question, we'd be like, yes, we're so here for this. I would 100% encourage it because I think if a lot of the time when you start a business, it's something you're truly passionate about. You pour your heart and soul into it and all your energy. And I think if you can start to get that off the ground and whatever that way that looks, your life is just going to look so you're just going to be just so much more driven about even just getting up for the day, like just getting up out of bed. You're going to have that drive because you care about whatever you're doing. So many people, I know life can be so difficult for a lot of people because they don't enjoy their job, and 40 hours in a week is most of your life. Like if you're not enjoying your work, then of course you're going to be not enjoying life very much. So if he was to be able to enjoy what he did, that would be amazing. I would encourage him, if he did come to me with that question, I would literally say the first thing you should do is learn how to create content. I like before you even, honestly, we were talking about this in the office with someone yesterday. That would be the biggest thing you should do. Learn to create content and how to tell stories online, because few and far between businesses these days, if you can, you've got to learn content. That is the best way to sell. But I think before even like building the brand, learn content, and then as you're building the brand, create content about building the brand and get that online.
That's interesting. That's easier said than done. It's funny. My stepson said he wanted to be an influencer. And we said, well, you have to create content and you have to learn content. But that's like, what does that mean? Because I think that there's so much content out there. How would you direct someone towards that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it is so broad. Like there's a million and one ways to do it. I think I would describe it in a way, I guess, if you have the idea of a business in mind, you've got like a niche, whatever that is. I want to sell coffees. That's your niche. You can figure out but pair it with something else too, like maybe something in your story that makes you unique. You're not just selling coffees. You are selling coffees because whatever the pairing of the story might be. Take like La La Land, I think they're called La La Land Cafe. And they have like their content is driven by giving compliments to people for a cafe. Like me and my sister always joke about like all these businesses we could start in all our spare time, which is a lie because we're so busy. But we would love to start a brand similar to that in a way. We're quite inspired by it, where we're selling, I don't know, coffee or something, and we give out compliments in whatever shape and form that is. But like if you compare your story, so yeah, have a niche first of all. Understand maybe just a few things about your niche, what you want to sell and be, and then learn how to film, edit, and tell a story through your content. Sure, you can hire someone, but that can be expensive. If you can learn to do it yourself, even just understand Premiere Pro and how to make cool edits and how to tell that story is a really good place to start.
What is a good story though?
I would say that's, again, great question. It is, especially on social media, having your hook. So whatever, like a really engaging thing that someone will be like, oh, I'm interested in that. I want to know more about that. Then the problem, and then it's how you're going to solve that problem. For example, I just posted a video on TikTok that did quite well. The hook was logos should explain everything a business does. And then the problem I showed was, I just did this example where the logo explained everything in the business. Like it was a pastry bar, and it had like a donut, a piece of cake, a cupcake, all in the logo, and it looked ridiculous. And then I was like, no, that's silly, And then I show the resolution of that problem is creating a more meaningful brand mark that is combining ideas to create a more like unique look. Tell that story. It's like that arc, the hook, the problem, and then solving that problem. That is how you sell successfully, or like tell a story successfully online.
The reason I really wanted to get you on the podcast, because I think you're very genuine in your content. You had this one post where I think it's hard to, nowadays everyone's kind of posturing. So it's a hard thing to do. But I remember a post where that made me feel good. It's like when you showed something you did like years ago and you're like, this is what I did then and this is what I do now. So what would you tell that person from like over there, the old 10 years ago you?
1,000,001 things. Yeah. Especially because like I wasn't the best designer in the world. I don't think I am at all now even. But I would tell them, you don't have to be the best designer. Don't think you need to be the best designer. If you can be a better marketer, like you just need to understand and learn how to sell yourself. That will get you much further than actually being the best designer in the world. Still strive to be a really good designer. I'm not saying that you don't want to just lose your skills. Like, work really hard at your skills and your techniques and try to find your own style. But to get yourself out there, you have to understand how to sell yourself and be a good marketer. So if you can pair that with, your video editing skills, your social media skills that you will learn over time, that is actually far more important. And I think in the moment, like years ago, I thought I had to be this incredible designer that was like minimalist and like, perfect and like Apple looking, inspired, innovative. That's just not me at all. Like, it's not how I design. It's not my style. And now I'm like okay with it because I found my style and who we are as a business as Pink Pony. We have this certain look, but it's how you sell it and like market it is going to get you further.
I love that. And it's funny that you used to dance hip hop because it's like, it's got this boldness to it, this kind of
Yeah,
unapologetic. I
I
definitely feel
like
that.
that. I've never
Yeah.
thought about that actually. And again, with my dancing, I actually have a YouTube channel that I started posting on dancing. And it did, like, I got to like 13,000 followers, like, which is pretty good, not too bad on YouTube. But I would just post videos of me dancing because I loved it and I would edit them in a cool way. And I started learning all the skills for social media back when I was dancing. So
Oh,
like everything stacks up. I think it's Stephen Bartlett calls it skill stacking, where it's like everything in your life you stack on top of each other. Even the skills I've learned from horse riding and dancing and posting my videos of me dancing on YouTube. It's all those skills that start to layer up, and you can actually pull different things from those skills to then take you into like the next phase and chapter of your life. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. We love it.
We talked about a lot of the good things, like building a brand and putting ourselves out there, making content, and all those good things. But every company, every designer, every person in business always has a difficult client every now and then. So,
Oh yeah.
so I wanted to know, like, can you give us a story or something of how you handled when you encountered a
Mm.
difficult client?
Oh, yeah, we've worked with so many, like hundreds of clients probably now, and there has been a couple in there for sure that's been difficult. How have we I try to approach business where I would even if it goes bad, I want them to still feel like, "Oh, it didn't turn out how I hoped with Pink Pony Creative," but they handled it with, like, respect, and I I I care about that more than any money dollar value. There was a client that we worked with. I mean, it's a little bit more difficult now with a team. Obviously, you still need to, like, pay your bills, so that gets
Right.
a little tricky, but this situation, I mean, my team was still actually relatively, the same size, 5 people, but we had a client who we showed them the designs, we pitched it to them, basically sent them the, email with everything. They came back and basically said, without any explanation, "This is not what we wanted. We've completely lost trust in you. We want to end the relationship." And that hurts so bad. Like in the moment,
Right.
seeing the words, "We've lost trust in you." And I said
yeah.
to them, "I will do whatever it takes. I will personally work on this. I will do it for free for you to make this right." Because it really, it sat so badly with me. I was really sad and disappointed because we care about what we do. We love it. We're
Right.
designers. We truly love design. And they just said, "No, I'm really sorry. We just want to end it here." And they'd paid, I think, a 50% deposit. It was like a couple of grand at the time. And that it still means a lot, of course, but it meant more at
Right.
the time. I paid it all back to them. I was like, I just want you guys to feel like this wasn't a waste of your money, 100%. So I paid
Mhm.
it all back. I don't know if it's like, I wouldn't do that now. I maybe would, it really depends on the situation, but
Right.
they said to us, "We appreciate you guys doing this so much. Like, although it went bad, I feel like, thank you for doing what you just did." It's not my like probably most wise business decision, but again, it just was like I just genuinely care
Yeah.
about what people think, and
Yeah.
I'd rather lose money than them leave being like, Pink Pony Creative. That now they're probably going to talk to their friends and be like, "Oh yeah, Pink Pony Creative didn't get the result that we'd hoped, but actually we left in a really, really nice way." So that's always like the hope.
I wanted to kind of touch talk about that a little bit. How did you kind of coach yourself out of that? Because that's pretty rough. That's a
It
tough, and
was.
you're not the only, like, I'm sure a lot of designers listening go through this all the time where they have an unhappy
Mm.
client.
Honestly, yeah, like in the moment, I had to go for a walk outside, in front of, and I had to cry to my husband and then my dad on the phone. I was like, "Ah, this hurts," like I was all sad. And then, I just pull myself together and just I try and tackle it quite quickly. Not like in the few minutes, but I don't want to sit on those decisions because I think that's when you can really like think, oh, should I do? I try to make a decision quite quickly. Um,
Mhm.
Without emotion. So I just like, yeah, I tried to tackle it in that way. And then honestly, yeah, I have a little cry for about half an hour and then I'm like, nah, let's move on. Let's go forward. And you always feel better about it the next day. Honestly, the next day you're like, oh, that's all right. That's all good. But to be honest as well, I do remind myself anytime something like that happens where it's a challenge or things feel hard, I'm like, in a week, I'm going to be like, wow, I learned so much from that moment.
Have you had the reverse where you literally knew a client was not a good fit and you had to walk away?
Yes. We've only walked away from like, I think maybe even, yeah, 1 or 2 clients. It's been few and far between. And this one in particular, we'd been working with them for about a year. It was
Mhm.
just so long. And he was awesome. Like he was literally said to us, I just want to keep working with you and keep paying you until we get it right. So he was awesome in that regard. And he was really lovely. Like that's why we just wanted to keep trying to get it right for him because he was so nice. And I think there was just confusion around who he wanted to be um, as a brand. We tackled basically, it was a full brand identity package, and we did a whole concept. It didn't feel right for him, so we did a whole nother concept, and he was paying for it, so we were happy to do it. We did a whole nother concept, and then it still didn't feel right for him. And I just thought, and we were kind of going around in circles, like it was just feeling like we were never going to get there. And I think it was just like him feeling uncertain about who he wanted the brand to be. Although we tried to position it multiple times in different ways, he still wasn't quite sure. And we just got to a point and I just sort of said to him, like, I wonder whether we're the right agency for you. And I want to do what I can to leave this in a really good situation. We'd created like 70 logos for him. It was crazy amounts. And I said to him,
Wow.
I will put all those logos on an artboard and literally send you that entire file if you want. I'm happy to do that because we didn't make this come to an end solution for you. So I want to do what I can to make it right. And I think, we both ended pretty respectfully. So it was a
Yeah.
good ending. He was really appreciative of our time and stuff. So it's probably against what a lot of designers believe in. They're like, how could sending all the logos you ever created for them? No. But I was like, I don't care about that stuff. I just want it to feel right for the client. I want them to feel like they really got their value for money, even though we didn't get the right solution.
Yeah, that's really clear that it's not just about creating a good brand, it's about building those good relationships and leaving people with that memory of working with you. Do
Mm.
you have a dream company or sort of a business that you'd like to work with in the future?
I've always said Disney would be really cool. I think just because everyone loves Disney. I don't even know what that looks like. I know Lincoln Design Co. They do quite a lot of stuff for Disney. Um, whether it's like some merch stuff or like just some illustration work or even like logos for the rides I've seen them do. So like that kind of stuff would be amazing. Like, and it's just working with a company like Disney where you grow up watching and loving everything that they do, and they're just brand experts that they create the brand world entirely. So yeah, I just look up to everything they do. So working with a business like that would just be the ultimate. I always thought like some beauty brands, but actually I've realized it's not really my style.
Mhm.
Um, it's just not like actually who we are as a business, although it'd be cool, but something like Disney would be the goal.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm sure you're gonna get there. I know we only have a couple minutes. I had 2 more questions. One is like, give me a brand that you love and give me a brand that you can't stand.
Oh, okay. A brand that I love. Um, Oh, I mean, it's so tricky. Like, as a brand designer, you're like, put me on the spot. There's so many. There's so many. I'm going to say one that no one will know. in America, I don't think. It's called Jagger and Stone. It's a clothing brand in Australia. This is a jacket of theirs. But I love the founder's story. The two like their best friends that founded the company. I love their story, and they have a podcast that's like sort of a side part to their business, and I just everything that they do in their business, I really like align with and feel like my lifestyle like matches theirs, which is a true testament to branding. It's a reflection of who you are. You often look for in businesses or brands you aspire to be. So I looked up to them. So yeah, Jagger and Stone would be a brand that I just like love. I pretty much buy my clothes from two places. And my sister's always like, oh, of course it's Jagger and Stone. So yeah, definitely them. Love them, everything they've done. And then a brand that I really don't like. I like looking around the room for inspiration. A brand that I don't like. Oh, could I ask you guys? You guys might inspire me with your decisions. Do you have brands that you don't like?
I'm thinking Microsoft. I don't like the brand.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm not
Oh
a
my God, I
fan.
like that. What about you, Eric? Anything?
I'm so in corporate, I don't like LinkedIn brand. So
Oh,
I just don't
hey,
like
fair
LinkedIn. I
enough.
like the branding. The blue and white
Yeah.
drives me nuts, so I'm good.
Yeah. Probably like, okay, I don't know if this is a bit boring, but like something like Android, I've just like never understood. But to be
Right.
honest, because I'm such a Mac Apple user, to be honest, like Androids take really good photos. I'm like, wow, that's crisp. So I'm like, good for you guys.
Yeah.
Good for
too.
you.
Yeah. But the branding is
So
bad.
Yeah, totally. And actually,
Yeah.
Microsoft, I'm like, that's slow. Anyone with a PC, I'm like,
Yeah,
why?
it's slow.
Yeah, like, why are you bothering? Like, oh, but
I
they've
mean
got
it.
their own love for that
Right.
brand. That's a good question. Stumped me.
we have so many more questions, but just for our audience, someone who's stuck, who's trying to either start their creative agency or trying to get a job at one, what are some core skills other than marketing that you would really look for in sort of your next
Oh,
hire?
some core skills. Certainly. Oh, in my next hire. I was gonna say like systems and processes and understanding that, but that's probably for more if you're building a business. Start to learn what a system is and like how to implement them and create your own systems. Like everything can be systemized. But if I was looking for something in terms of hire, I think passion goes a long way, like a huge way. Having passion for what you do in design, creativity, and also the business that you want to potentially or hopefully go into, and understanding the business and learning about them is such a big thing. Like we've had people apply for roles and they talk, their cover letter is so well written where they really talk about the brand Pink Pony and like someone even signed it off or said something like, the Pink Pony team, and Pedro, which is the name of that horse there, that guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, they already know about the brand, and that goes a long
Yeah.
way with founders and business owners because you want someone on board your team who care about what you do as a
Right.
business and where you're going. So that goes a really long way. And you know what I often feel a bit not sad, that's the wrong word. I've done a lot of interviews now where when you ask straight away, I lead with, and I've read your CV, looked at your portfolio, tell me about yourself. And so often people are too shy and reserved and nervous to share who they are. Like I've had someone that was sort of like, oh yeah, I love design. And I was like, be confident in who you are. Confidence goes the longest way. Like even rehearse your story, whatever that looks like. Just write a script for yourself, start rehearsing it. So you go into those interviews when they ask the question, tell me about yourself, you feel really confident in like your story and who you are. Because again, that goes a really long way because it tells me that you're a confident talker. You're probably going to talk well with clients in the future, even down to your handshake. Like
Oh, interesting.
perfect that thing. I have had interviews before where it's a confidence thing. You shake someone's hand, or when you meet people, it goes a really long way.
Right.
It's the confidence, and that's what we want to see because you just know that person's going to probably believe in their ideas a lot more than someone who's a little reserved. But that comes with experience too. Someone
Right.
who's potentially just coming out of university isn't probably going to have a huge amount of confidence. So I do
Right.
understand why it, could be reflective in that way.
Oh, that's a great answer. I love that. Before we close, anything you want to share with the audience?
Oh, honestly, I'm like so many thoughts. I have 2 quotes that I love to live by. You're far too smart to be the only thing standing in your own way. Is one of them. And the second one is opportunity dances with those on the dance floor. So get out there.